Have you ever wondered why you keep falling into the same types of patterns, whether it's procrastination, going super hard and then crashing out from burnout, or just freezing up and doom scrolling, and you've tried all the productivity hacks, you've tried all the different types of mindset shifts, but nothing seems to stick? Well, this is what nobody tells you. It's all about your unique nervous system patterning and how you like to respond to stress. It's your unique stress survival style, and it's the reason why you can't seem to make all these different types of methods work. But once you figure out what your unique stress survival style is, you will be able to unlock all of the productivity, all of the healing, and all of the answers to become the person that you desire to become. You want to know how to find out what yours is? Let's go. So what is your unique nervous system patterning and stress survival style? So these are the different types of nervous system patterns, and this is what shapes your behaviors, your thoughts, your emotional cycles, everything that shapes your day to day. So if you ever wonder why you get stuck in like overwhelm and overthinking, or you get stuck in procrastination and totally freeze up and don't know what to do, or just avoid certain tasks and keep putting them off, this is how you figure out what's causing that and how to fix it. So let's go over these different types of nervous system patterns. Number one, and this is the one we should all aspire for, regulated, right? Nervous system regulation is such a buzzword right now, but regulation is a state. It is the baseline. It is what you should be in majority of the time. And this is what your nervous system pattern looks like when you have a healthy nervous system, when fight or flight energy is not stuck in the nervous system. So the thing about regulation is you're not always going to be regulated 100% of the time. We're human. We were designed to be activated, right? Because that's how we survive. This is our key to survival. So when things occur like stress or tough situations, you may escalate, right? Or maybe you get sad, like a breakup or something happens, and then you de-escalate. Maybe, you come down. But the thing is, when you have a regulated nervous system, it's able to come back to that baseline of regulation without any resistance. So instead of getting super heightened and staying in hypervigilance, it comes back down to regulation once that situation is over, right? You're able to be in the present moment and not on guard, waiting for something to happen, waiting for the other shoe to drop, or ruminating over the past, or being worried about the future. You're able to be in the present moment, and that's what a regulated nervous system looks like, okay? So this is what we all aspire to have, to be regulated, right? And to be able to encounter things, encounter stress, but be able to come back to that baseline. That is what resilience is. It's a nervous system that is able to get activated or deactivated, but come back to a baseline. And people who are resilient, who bounce back from struggles, from troubles, from traumatic events, those people maintain a baseline of regulation. So that's what the goal is. But let's go over the other types of nervous system patterns when fight or flight energy gets stuck in the nervous system. So first up, we have hyperarousal. So this is a more anxious type of nervous system patterning. This is hypervigilance. This is being on edge. This is being super fighty or super flighty. So you're going to be always on edge, always ready to fight, always ready to defend, or you're go, 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 move, 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 don't stop, don't stop. Okay, that's what hyperarousal is. It's hypervigilance. It's always being on the lookout for possible threats, worrying, overthinking, those types of behaviors. And being in a hypervigilant and hyperaroused state is very straining to the nervous system, very straining to our hormonal system. And it can lead to a lot of health issues, but also keep you from being able to enjoy the present moment, being able to enjoy life. A lot of people find use in, these are people who are hustle, 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 go, 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 but that has a downside and that also has a consequence. Very, very, very common. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, we have hypoarousal. So this is more of a depressive pattern. This looks like detachment, disassociation. This looks like brain foggy, not being able to be in touch with your emotions, not being able to feel, and a lot of the times looks like someone who's lazy or lethargic. And what it is, it's just hypoarousal. You're unactivated and your nervous system is not comfortable being activated. It's not comfortable with activation. So there's a lot of procrastination here. There's a lot of freezing up. There's a lot of cocooning into safety and, being afraid to go out of your comfort zone, which can also happen in hyperarousal. You can also be afraid of coming out of your comfort zone as well. But that looks more like being afraid to relax, being afraid to let go, being afraid to delegate, things like that. So both ends of the opposite spectrum, but both coming with their own unique set of challenges. And then the last one, the one that no one talks about, this is global activation nervous system pattern. So this is a nervous system that jumps up and spikes up into high activation and then crashes out and dips down. And then it's depressive and they're frozen and they can't activate. And it jumps back up and it comes back down. Then maybe they're in a baseline for a little bit and then they crash back down and they come back up. So it feels like a roller coaster. And this is a more unique nervous system pattern. And sometimes it's associated with different diagnoses such as bipolar disorder. But you don't have to have bipolar to have a global activation pattern. So it's a unique one, but it's one that feels like a huge roller coaster where you're constantly up and then you're down and you're crashed out and depressive. So those are the 4 different types of nervous system patterns. But what's really cool about this is within each of these nervous system patterns, you may lean more toward one type of survival style. So either fight, flight, or freeze. Okay. So within these different patterns, you may lean more towards fight or you may lean more towards fight. Did I say fight or flight? Fight or flight. And you may be thinking, this girl doesn't even know what she's talking about. She forgot about fawn. Well, fawn is actually not a part of the nervous system. No, it's not. Fawn is not its own nervous system state. Fawn is not a part of the parasympathetic or the sympathetic nervous system. Fawn is a learned behavior response to trauma. So this is something that you've learned over time to survive in response to something traumatic that happened to you in the past, mostly associated with like childhood trauma. So a lot of people will think that, oh, if you're a fawner, then there's no way you lean towards fight. But you can actually be someone who fawns and does lean toward fight because you like to come in contact with the threat. Or you could be someone who fawns and leans more toward flight because you like to get away. You want to avoid conflict. You want to avoid confrontation. And so it can go either way. So fawning is not its own nervous system state. And just because you fawn does not mean that you don't lean more towards fight or flight. You could be someone who fawns and absolutely be a full-blown fighter. Okay. So we all know that fight is about coming in contact with the threat, fighting the threat, right? Trying to eliminate the threat. Flight is about escaping the threat, getting away from the threat. And then freeze is what happens when your nervous system and your body believes that you cannot fight or flee the threat. So it shuts down. And this is what happens within all mammals. We all have the same threat response cycle. And freeze is what happens when a prey gets caught by their predator, basically, when they believe that they can't fight or run. And so what the body does is it starts releasing endorphins so that it numbs the pain for their transition to preparing for the end. It's a really morbid, sad way to put it, but that's what's happening in freeze. Your body is shutting down, and that's why you feel dissociation and you feel disconnected and you feel helplessness and hopelessness because the body believes that whatever threat you are in contact with, even if it's just something in your head, it's not even real, which is the case 99.9% of the time. It's something that's not even a real threat. Your nervous system believes that you can't win or escape this threat. You can't defeat or escape this threat. So it shuts down. And it should be the very most important thing for you. Like it should be your top priority is getting out of that freeze response because you don't want to spend years in a freeze response because it's very easy to do. And I did it. I spent years in a freeze response. And when you come out of that freeze response, the longer you've been in it, the more difficult it can be. So the reason why I bring that up is so that if you do find yourself to be leaning towards freeze, then you really want to prioritize your healing journey. But let's dive into how to tell which one of these you may be leaning to. So our body is really good at sending us signals and messages, okay? So you can actually determine which one of these you may lean toward depending on what behaviors, what subtle behaviors that you wouldn't really pay attention to the naked eye, but give you a really big message when it comes to your nervous system patterning and your survival style. Okay. So people who are in flight tend to have energy come up the body. It's not all the time, but a good rule of thumb is flight energy comes up the body. So a lot of people in fight or who lean towards fight have a lot of tension in their jaw, have a lot of tension in their face. They may do things like chew. They may like bite their lips or chew gum or like to chew ice. When I was actually in middle school, I was bullied relentlessly. Like I was bullied every single day because of my body and the way that I looked. I wanted to defend myself. I wanted to stand up to my bullies. So every day I went to school in fight mode and I would chew my pens. So the top of my pens, my pen caps would be totally chewed and just completely obliterated, in that time period. Once I got out of junior high school, I stopped that behavior. But during that time, I would chew on my pens like crazy. So if you're the type of person who likes to chew gum or chew ice, or you like to bite your lip, you probably lean more towards fight. If you have the RBF, if you like to do resting bitch face, you're probably in a fight response. You're probably in fight. What mammals do, right? It's kind of like you putting on that don't mess with me, don't come in contact with me because I will come in contact with a threat. It's your nervous system and your body subconsciously in fight mode. And if you're engaging in these behaviors like chewing or tenching up your jaw or balling up your fist, it's your body trying to release that stored fight energy. So if you're someone who leans more towards flight, you may do a lot of things with the lower body. So typically, like I said, it's not all the time, it's not 100% accurate, but majority of the time, fight energy comes up the body, flight energy likes to go down the body, right? Because your legs are ready to run. So a lot of people in flight like to bounce their legs. I see like the people who bounce their legs, they're always bouncing their legs. They'll tap their foot. If you find yourself always tapping your foot, always bouncing your legs, it's a really good indicator that your body's trying to release that flight energy. So like I said, bouncing of the legs, bouncing of the foot. You may like to lean away from people when they talk to you. You may like to look at the door. You may like to sit by the door. Like some people, you go to a restaurant with them and they refuse to have their back to the door. They have to have like their eyes on the door. That is flight energy. And it's these little subtle behaviors that give away what the body wants to do, what the nervous system is craving. And then there is freeze. So freeze response looks like, again, disassociation, disconnected. But a lot of the times the freeze is really hard to pick up on because the behaviors are very, very, very subtle. So a lot of the time freeze looks like being forgetful, like bad, like short-term memory. Like, what was I just saying? Like, wait, what was I just talking about? Like, that's freeze. It shows up in a way, like a lot of people in freeze talk very slowly. Like they're like pauses, long pauses when they speak because the body's just so shut down. And I remember my brother, like he used to be like super hyper, like super talkative, chatty. And then he just turned into this person who talked very slow and was very quiet and like would take these long pauses when you would speak to them. It's freeze response. He wasn't a quiet person if he was stuck in a freeze response. That's how it shows up. If you're like struggling to get your words out, especially when you're stressed or overwhelmed, that's a good indication of freeze response. So why is it important to know these things? Because once you know what your nervous system pattern is and what survival style you lean towards, then you can know exactly what your nervous system needs. You don't have to try all these different hacks and mindset hacks that don't work for you. You'll know exactly what your unique system needs. So if you're someone stuck in a freeze response, what you need is activation. You need gentle activation. You need your body to know that it's safe to feel, that it's safe to be activated. And if you're in a hyper aroused state, if you're in a super hyper aroused, then your body needs to know that it's safe to be still, right? Or you may need some somatic movements to move that flight energy out of the body. But you need to be able to bring the nervous system back down into regulation. You need more grounding, right? So when you know exactly what your pattern is, you know exactly what your nervous system and what your body needs in order to heal and to get that fight or flight energy and to get that trauma out of the body. And that's what's going to heal you, right? I talked about this before. Regulation is great. Regulation skills, somatic skills, I teach them. I love them. I do them every day, but that is the maintenance. That is what maintains a healthy baseline of regulation. You cannot heal. You'll always be fighting against your nervous system pattern if you don't get that trauma and you don't get that fight or flight energy out of the nervous system. So once you break that out of the nervous system and you free your nervous system, then you use regulation to stay and maintain a healthy baseline of regulation, okay? But you need to know what your nervous system pattern is so you know what your nervous system needs to get that trauma out of your body. So if you got this far, thank you so much, first of all. But if you want to know what your nervous system pattern is and what your unique stress survival style is, then take my free quiz, okay? It's a quiz that's just a few questions. It's not long at all. And it's going to help indicate which one of these nervous system patterns and survival styles you have. And then it will let you know exactly what tools you need in order to help start your healing journey and heal your nervous system. It's totally free. Just take the quiz. This will be more informative than any personality quiz that you ever taken. I promise you, it's so much better than human design and horoscopes and all that other stuff. Like, if you like all that stuff, great. But this is so much more informative and so much more important, because when you know what your nervous system pattern is and what your stress survival style is, like I said, then you know exactly what your body is craving, what your body needs in order to heal. It's going to take all the guesswork out. So you're not just bouncing around from this to that, to this type of mindset thing, to that type of mindset thing, to this type of exercise, to that type of exercise, to this type of therapy, to that type of therapy. You'll finally know exactly what your nervous system needs and how to start your healing journey. So take the quiz. Link will be below. Find out what your unique stress survival style is. And if you want to know more about the nervous system, somatic therapy, somatic experiencing, and trauma healing, then watch this video here and I will catch you in the next one. And thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for listening. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment below. It helps so much. And if you're listening on the podcast, please leave us a 5-star review. I would really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.